And then this one, because we work for John Deere and we are suffering due to the nosedive in the economy, we've been through layoffs and forced holidays, and the whole shop is just in a tizzy. And I wrote this about that whole situation. It's called The Depressed Economy. So what do you think, he says gingerly, hands deep in the pockets of his smock. There isn't a face here that's smiling, not a chuckle, a wisecrack, or a smirk. On Friday, they said layoffs are coming. More details to come in a few weeks. If we don't like it here, we can walk, and don't bother with all of our cheek. Which of my friends will be unemployed? I wonder while I work at my bench. If I'm turfed, I will lose my pension, not to mention my weekly paychecks. If I get to stay, will I be okay while the people I love look for work? Millions are made by the big business crooks while they take our few thousands away. Mortgages lurk with bills overdue, new parents who never saw the last crash. Spent every cent, they're now drowning in debt. Our awakening will be urgent and rude. This is my idol. I spent a couple of seasons working in New Mexico, up in the mountains, just at an isolated little goat dairy, and I loved it there. So this is called Alive in New Mexico. Of all the spots I wanted to see, the desert did not ever call out to me. Endless sand and bare rock, subdued by heat, colors washed out, and emptiness replete. In the desert I found life resplendent, the fight for survival self-evident, animals that endure on dew alone, tiny plants that seem to grow out of stone, a sunrise so red the air seemed on fire, ubiquitous death, a life simplifier. Desires unwoven and loose like the scree, I found love so deep it transcended need. This was my sonnet. This was the sonnet we wrote for Valentine's Day. And I don't have a lover to write about, so I just wrote about myself. It's called Absolution. I fell short of love along the way. I specialized in self-criticism. You're so pretty and smart, people would say, but I wasn't good enough in my purism. I sank down into a moonless, dark age, felt alone like I was worthless debris, floundered and cast about in pressing rage till I treated myself more gently. Now I forgive myself for what I'm not and absolve my mistrust of what I am. Offer myself humor and support, give myself time while I reprogram. Though this patient grace is wondrous to savor, I never forget it's a daily labor. The last one I'm going to read, it was the free verse, the very last one we wrote. And this is a scene that it actually happened when I lived in New Mexico. I was picked up by a friend of the people I was staying with, and I didn't know him. And I had to spend the night with him. The bus got into Albuquerque at 3 in the morning. So he left his 2 very young children at home by themselves, sleeping, and came and picked me up and came back. And so when they woke up in the morning, they didn't know I was there. They didn't know who I was just there. And this has just stuck in my head for years and years. And it's really nice to be able to put it on paper and kind of see how it looks. Anyways, it's called Natural Beauty. I stayed overnight once in Albuquerque at the home of a man I barely knew. He lived with a big shaggy dog, 3 cats, a buck goat, and 2 small children, the girl older than the boy. The main room was a maze of clutter, overstuffed furniture, extra end tables, an open bag of dog food on the floor. Dirty dishes covered the kitchen counters. Stacks of magazines sat on the chairs. The man washed 1 bowl and 2 spoons, so the children could eat cereal, standing at the kitchen table. All the while, blue smoke billowing from his constant cigarette, a burning need since his wife, beloved, died from lung cancer. Earlier, before the others are awake, the girl gingerly tiptoes out into the early morning backyard sunshine, then weaves her way through the chaos of old forgotten furniture in the living room where I lay unseen. She puts a dirty glass full of water onto a dusty old end table, and with resplendent deliberation, places one tiny yellow flower into the opaque glass, the radiant secret alight on her face. Suddenly she sees me stir on the sofa and silently steals out of the room.
Thank you, Nicole.